So Adobe Photoshop has many different file types that you can save a file into. So to launch your Photoshop, just click on your Photoshop icon at the bottom of your screen, or you can go to your applications and open. I'm using Adobe Photoshop CS6, which is right up here, and I already have a file that's saved. So you have to get some kind of image. In my case, I go to File, Open, and you might have to navigate through if you're using a Mac, navigate to the folder that has the file. So in this case, I'm going to open a file that's a JPEG, which is a compressed file, meaning that it was opened and it was shrunk down. So a lot of the times on the internet, you see either JPEGs, a lot of JPEGs out there. JPEGs are not really good for printing because they've been compressed. So how do we save a file? So here you can tell the name of the file. It's called car.jpg, and it's RGB, which stands for red, green, and blue. So that's the color mode, and we'll talk about color modes in a little bit later. But to save as different file types, you want to go to File and Save As, and then you notice that when you first open, the pull-down menu you can change that to Photoshop, which is the best method for when you're going to actually edit a document. Notice how the extension went from JPEG to .psd, which stands for Photoshop document. You can also save in different file formats like a TIFF, which is another compressed file, but it's perfect for printing. We could also use a PNG file, which is also good for the web. We'll be talking about all these different file types and using them throughout the class. But this is a basic introduction. As you change the file type, the extension changes. So make sure if you don't just type the extension, and make sure you have, if you're going to use a JPEG, in this case I'm going to save it as a Photoshop document, and I'm going to save, and it's going to ask me to replace because I already have one in there. I'm going to replace that. So now my file type has changed from car.jpg to car.psd. So that's the best extension, the best mode to use when actually doing file editing or Photoshop editing. Yeah, this will be some basics on file types. We'll be using a lot of file types throughout the course, and this is just a basic introduction.